The Colorado Missing Indigenous Persons Act went into effect less than 2 weeks ago. Since then, 2 alerts have gone out. One for a 14-year-old boy in Pagosa Springs, the other for a 27-year-old man in Denver. The legislation was designed to expand and improve investigations into missing and murdered Indigenous people.
A former Denver police detective who 20 years ago solved a high-profile murder of an Indigenous woman says this new legislation is a major step in the right direction, but points out that much work still remains. 9 News crime and justice reporter Matt Jablow explains.
In December of 1975, Anna Mae Aquash was kidnapped from a house in the 4300 block of Pecos Street in North Denver. 2 months later, she was found shot to death in South Dakota. Her murder remained unsolved for 28 years.
We did a lot of interviews.
Until April of 2003, when thanks in large part to the work of Denver Police Detective Abe Alonzo,
A case like this comes around once in a lifetime.
police arrested 2 men in connection with Anna Mae's death.
I'm glad we were able to find justice for Anna Mae and her daughters, because her daughters were only 3 and 4 years old when she was executed.
Now retired, Alonzo says had it been around back in the 1970s, Colorado's new Missing Indigenous Person Act might have helped police solve Anna Mae's murder much quicker than they did.
I think the press, to get the word out, so to speak, I think, yeah, it might have helped. Back then, Native American Indians didn't trust law enforcement, and so that made it real difficult.
Alonzo says he also believes that the new legislation will improve the relationship between law enforcement and Indigenous communities. And if that happens, Alonzo says, many more crimes against Indigenous people will be solved, and faster than before.
In this day and age, I think it's a necessity, especially with the internet and the social media. I think it's a good thing. We have to bring that out to the public.
A footnote: one of the 2 men convicted of Anna Mae's murder agreed to cooperate with prosecutors and was released from prison in 2020 after about 17 years behind bars. His co-defendant is still serving a life sentence in a South Dakota prison.
I think it says a lot, the fact that there is a Missing Indigenous Persons Act. A lot of people are learning about it, that it was under the radar for so long.
It seems by almost everybody's account that this really will help.
Yeah, and then this case, just seeing how many years it took, but how important it was.
And what a difference this might have made, this new legislation, had it been around back then.
Had it been around.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Matt.
Well, the second Missing Indigenous Alert is going on right now in Archuleta County. The Sheriff's Office in southwestern Colorado saying 14-year-old Sequoia Sosi was last seen by law enforcement on Friday night. They also say, though, that he has been actively evading officers. But if you see Sequoia, you are to call the Archuleta County Sheriff's Office. A man who pleaded guilty to taking a 13-year-old girl from her home in Aurora is now off to prison. Navarro Kathy is sentenced to a total of 25 years. The girl had met Kathy online, and he took her in November of 2021. That set off an Amber Alert. She was found safe in his car in Utah a day later. He pleaded guilty to child sexual exploitation last year.
Lakewood police believe there are more victims who were attacked on RTD's W line late last year. If you're one of them, they want to hear from you. Right now, 13 juveniles face charges for 2 attacks on the light rail, one in October and one in November. Police continued the investigation after the arrests and now believe the juveniles also attacked other people on the train between late August and early November of last year. Prosecutors have alleged in court that the incidents were for social media notoriety. The W line runs from downtown Denver to Golden. If you have any information, call Lakewood Police. New police documents show the man accused of killing a convenience store owner last week told detectives he did it to get back at the owner. The affidavit says 26-year-old Sean Nathan Chance admitted that he was in the Wheatridge Valero store 2 days before and believed the owner, quote, ripped him off. So he went back with a gun to, quote, rough him up and get his money back. But the report also reads that Chance assaulted the owner in a storeroom and claims he unintentionally shot the victim. But then Chance told detectives life happened. Chance is accused of then driving off in the owner's car and making it all the way to Indiana before police arrested him.
A Denver sheriff's deputy is being suspended for breaking an inmate's wrist with nunchucks designed for law enforcement. Now, according to newly released discipline documents, Deputy Daniel Rodriguez was using nunchucks like these. Law enforcement agencies do use them to restrain people and apply pressure to joints to gain compliance. Rodriguez, though, is accused of exerting too much pressure on an inmate's wrist, causing it to break. That happened back in April of 2021. The punishment decision, though, was just made at the end of the year. The city decided Rodriguez should be suspended for 3 days. 6 months after that incident, the city banned the use of nunchucks by police and deputies. They were used by Denver law enforcement, though, for more than 25 years. Denver's district attorney has determined that police officers were justified in a deadly shooting from July. A 911 call was made on July 13th about men getting out of a car armed with handguns. The car drove off as Denver officers arrived, but the police helicopter tracked the car. When officers tried to stop it, police say a man inside, Michael Soletto, fired shots at them. Officers fired back and Soletto was killed. The district attorney says once Soletto fired at them, officers were legally justified to return fire.
This is the scene in the same one in many, many grocery stores right now. When there are eggs on the shelf, they do cost a lot more if you get the chance to buy them. Owners of a bakery in Parker know that all too well. 9 News reporter Jaleesa Rosari shares their struggle.
After taking a week off for vacation, reality tends to hit.
It's like, are we gonna have product this week or not?
Alan Ramos, the co-owner of Poulette Bake Shop, knows that all too well.
So this would have cost me $13, and now this costs $43.
For a French bakery that uses 8,000 eggs a month, the latest prices have the owners scrambling.
It's just too many rising costs all at the same time for us to be able to absorb them all. I think that's one of the biggest challenges.
Experts mostly blame the avian flu for the price hikes. At times, Ramos says he has to spend nearly 300% more than he did a year ago.
So we have never seen commodity prices be so unstable from day to day.
Day to day is how Ramos and his co-owner Carolyn Nugent have taken it. But now they're left with no choice but to increase cost.
We don't want the prices to go up so high for us to become something that not everyone can enjoy. At some point, we will price certain people out, and that's not what we're looking to do.
Products may go up by 15 to 70 cents a piece, but Ramos assures the quality won't drop. Because what better way to face bitter reality than with something sweet?
We'll come out on the other end. We just would like to see stability in the market.
Ramos tells us a case of high-grade eggs cost him $40 last January. Now he can't even find those high-grade eggs. Instead, he has to pay $135 for a lower grade. So, Kim, the biggest challenge has not only been the egg prices, but actually finding them.
Yeah, and then they limit how much you can buy, and it sounds like his customers understand the dilemma, though.
Yeah, they definitely do. They posted on social media when they realize that they can't go much longer without having to raise prices. So they informed them, they were fully transparent about the situation, and they say a lot of their customers were super supportive of the price hike.
Yeah, that's great. Good to hear. We hope it changes soon. Thank you, Jaleesa.
Well, if you were near downtown today, maybe you heard. It's Inauguration Day in Colorado. Governor Polis taking the oath of office again, laying out his priorities for the next 4 years.
3 Colorado airports are on a list they don't want to be on. Which ones are considered the worst in the country and why?
And Colorado's own Michaela Schifrin with a chance to break Lindsey Vogn's World Cup wins record today. We'll show you how she did on the slopes later in sports.